This is the Strategy Doctor podcast, and I am your strategy doctor, Mark Anthony Peterson. Welcome to episode 14. Today we're talking about iHOP. Yes, the International House of Pancakes, which about 18 months ago wanted to be the International House of Burgers. Really? From pancakes to burgers? iHOP? Well, in today's podcast, I'm going to talk to you about the ways that I think iHOP can be better than Starbucks and could have been bigger had they made some different strategic decisions. Let me give you a little bit of a background on iHOP. They were started in 1958 in Los Angeles as a breakfast all-day dining facility, an all-day breakfast dining restaurant, innovative concept for its time, though that has now been eclipsed by players like McDonald's and others who saw the advantage of going all day with breakfast. They were founded by Al and Jerry Lampin, as well as Al and Truly Callis. A lot of Al's in Los Angeles in those days. And by 1960, these guys began franchising the iHOP store model, the one that I just described. By 1963, the company included several brands such as iHOP, the one we know today, Orange Julius, Love's Wood Pit Barbecue, Golden Cup Coffee Shops, the original House of Pies. Wow. So you had the original House of Pancakes and then, of course, pies. People come and eat nothing but pies. And then they also had Wheelwright's Ice Cream Shop. So those were the brands by 1963 that were under the corporate umbrella that included also iHOP. By 1998, the system-wide sales had hit $1 billion for the corporation, and they peaked out at about 1,600 locations globally. So not a bad business when you look at it. But let's look at a few stats on the Starbucks side. Starbucks has 31,000 stores worldwide. They have 14,000 in the U.S., almost 7,000 in China. They have more stores in Canada than iHOP has globally, about 1,500, right at 1,600. And then they have 1,400 stores in Japan. So these guys are a beast. And you ask yourself, why couldn't iHOP have achieved the same sort of impact that a Starbucks did? Starbucks, by the way, global revenues in 2019, $26.5 billion compared to right at $1 billion for iHOP. So 26 times larger on the revenue side, and then almost 32 times larger on the franchise side or the store location side. According to an article from TheStreet.com in 2015, 8% of Starbucks revenue was coming from grocery store sales. So those are those K-Cups, bagged coffee, frappuccinos, all of the different ways that Starbucks has found to capture what it sells at the stores and push it through another channel. So about 8% 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I'm sure that number has risen, and I will certainly check that in its annual report. But that has represented a growing part of Starbucks' strategy to get that coffee in the hands of its customers anywhere they want it, both at home and in the store. So my question is, why is iHOP dying on the vine when all of these opportunities exist for it to project its brand into different channels and get an amazing return? What would I do if I were the CEO? Well, first, I think they should do what I thought McDonald's was going to do when they introduced McCafe. I thought McDonald's would start standing up, standalone McCafe shops that would compete head-to-head with Starbucks, but they didn't. They integrated it into existing stores, confusing their workers, confusing their customers, and sub-optimizing the opportunity. That's the first thing I would do with iHOP, because they're essentially two different brands under one roof. There are people who come there for the great coffee and for light fare, and I would carve that out and make that an iHOP Junior. Standing up the great coffee that they do provide and coming up with some new innovative dishes that would include the pancake. So a pancake wrap, that would be sausage, cheese, and tomato and a pancake wrapped around it. a pancake taco. That's a breakfast taco that goes head to head with Taco Bell. There are a lot of different fast finger food options that could go along with an iHOP Junior that specialized in coffee of different flavors and different types that would attract a completely new segment of customers to the brand, right? So that's number one. New, smaller, more proliferated iHOP Juniors that would be surrounding college campuses, surrounding urban communities, and I would even throw them out in the rural communities where people love to sit and have coffee. Pancakes and coffee, particularly when they're wrapped up like a wrap or a hot dog or a taco, man, that sounds like a winning concept to me and pretty high margin. What's higher margin than coffee, and what's cheaper to produce than dough and water to produce a pancake? You got a winning option there if you keep the menu items limited so that you can get in and out fast and keep the facility small. What's the second thing I do? Well, you got to go back to the main brand, iHOP, and do some basic blocking and tackling. That menu has way too many items. Where's Gordon Ramsay when you need him to come in and right size that menu? They have burgers, they have pancakes, they have breakfast, they have dinner, they have lunch. That's too many items and too confusing. Go back to your core and serve breakfast all day, but get innovative with it so that you can have a little bit of a heavier fare, but from a breakfast perspective. You know, look at Taco Bell. They moved into breakfast by taking everything they serve all day long and turning it into breakfast food. So stick a hamburger patty inside of a pancake and call it something new. How about a cow in a blanket? And of course, why not add pigs in a blanket, but with that great pancake that you have, and then continue to do what you were doing earlier, proliferating the pancakes of different types with the different types of syrups to put on it. My approach would be, if you have ingredients that can't be served for breakfast, take those items off the menu. By having a heavy dose of ingredients that can be served all day means that I am going to get better procurement, lower prices, and higher margins at my main stores. What's the third thing that I would do? Like Starbucks, we got to get into the grocery stores in a big way. So that means we got to get those K-Cups out there for the iHOP coffee, which I don't know if you've had it. I drink it all the time. I love iHOP. I need that coffee in a K-Cup so I can bring it home with me. I love it. I like it better than Dunkin's. I like it better than Starbucks. I like it better than Krispy Kreme coffee, which now shows up on the shelf with a K-Cup. I like it better than the McDonald's coffee. They also have K-Cups on the shelves. iHOP has to play in that market. Get that coffee out there. By the way, put it in bags, also bean and ground, so that I can use it with my old coffee makers when I go and visit some of the houses that I have in Alabama, where I don't have a Keurig machine. So you got to get in that aisle as well. But here's where you can play where the other guys don't play. Get that pancake batter on the other aisle, the iHOP pancake batter, so people can make those pancakes at home and get your syrup right next to it. You know, that cherry, that blueberry, all of the different flavors that people want with those pancakes, get it on the aisle, get it branded iHOP, and get people thinking about your food all the time when they're not at your facility. So that would be phase one. Phase one is basic blocking and tackling. And you see what I've done. By breaking off and creating an iHOP Junior, I have a platform that I can now go after millennials and younger demographics by refreshing and updating the iHOP brand. I can appeal to my older baby boomer crowd that still frequents the restaurant today. And then by getting in these other channels, I've opened up new revenue, new branding opportunities for people to learn who the company is all over again. Now, phase two would be all about extending that. The International House of Pancakes has a very stodgy looking image when you think about the house that the pancakes are being made in. That house needs to be updated for 2021. So a modern, sleek looking design that makes it look like you're getting some really good, fancy pancakes made in some European market, right? That's what I want to see for phase two. You know, like one of those really sharp edge glass designs that you see in the modern homes That's what the new International House of Pancake needs to look like so that you can give it that chic, that appeal that the Starbucks introduced itself with when it aligned its coffee with the Italian coffee shops. Right? People thought they were getting the flavor of Italy right here in America. And they need to know that they're getting that sort of high-end appeal at a low-end price right here at the International House of Pancakes. So a slow rollout of new store concepts for the main brand, bringing that through to with iHOP Jr. as the market tests prove themselves out. But phase 3 is where you really start making the money. And I'm not going to tell you what that is. If you want to know iHOP, reach out to me. Sierra Consulting. I am the founder and thought leader, and we'd be happy to take you through what phase 3 would be to make your business more profitable, larger, and more impactful than Starbucks. Guys, this has been the Strategy Doctor podcast, and I am your strategy doctor, Mark Anthony Peterson. If your business needs to pivot, needs to have a new strategy, needs to be realigned, needs to cut costs, don't call the Ghostbusters. Call the Cost Busters at Sierra Consulting. Call the Strategy Busters at Sierra Consulting. When I say Strategy Busters, you don't need a 3-inch book on what you could do. You need a 3-page strategy to tell you what you will do that will work for your company's capabilities, competencies, and market position. Find us on the web at Ceyero.com. Ceyero.com. And guys, if you like this podcast, you may like some of my other podcasts. Gorillapreneur. Guys, I just interviewed 4 of the most fascinating women on the planet. Dahl Levant, Farrah Allen, Perla Humphreys, and Bronwyn Morgan. All of those startups based out of Atlanta will potentially make $1 billion in the next 2 to 3 years. You need to check out Gorillapreneur, because if you're a business maverick and you're taking on the Goliaths in your market and you're the David, you need to learn the tactics for defeating that Goliath, and you're going to get that at the Gorillapreneur podcast. If you like learning about the gig sharing and platform economies, Gigging Everything in the Sharing Economy is the podcast for you. On that podcast, I interview founders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, market makers, market leaders, and they predict the future of the gig sharing and platform economies for you. And then finally, if you're a corporate exec, you just heard this podcast and you want to be the guy in the corner office making all the big decisions, listen to my podcast, Career Coaching X's and O's. I have 20 plus years as a senior executive working for different Fortune 500 companies. I've worked as a strategy consultant for some of the biggest organizations in the world. And I'm also an entrepreneur with a successful exit selling my company to a Fortune 500 company. So I think I know a few things about helping you get to that corner office. Check it out, Career Coaching X's and O's. We'll put links to all the shows in the show notes, and please follow us online at The Strategy Doctor and give us your feedback, your likes, your comments, and please share. All of those things help us beat those pesky algorithms. Till next time, guys, this is the Strategy Doctor podcast, and I'm your strategy doctor, Mark Anthony Peterson.